Well, hi, my name is Sarah Sample. I am the executive pastry chef at Northridge Country Club, and today we're going to make some awesome chocolate chip cookies. So first thing first, when you start making your chocolate chip cookies, you guys will have a recipe that you'll have online, and then always make sure you read your recipe, go through the details, and then the most important thing is scale out your ingredients first. Have your mise en place ready to rock and roll, so then when you make your cookies, it's very simple, it's easy, it's not complicated. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get my paddle into the mixer, make sure everything's set. I'm going to go ahead and put my butter in the mixer, and then the brown sugar and sugar. I'm going to raise this up, and I'm going to let this beat for like 2 minutes just to make sure that everything's incorporated, there's no butter chunks and all that. So basically I'm going to stop the mixer, look at it. I want to make sure I scrape things down to make sure that the butter is very incorporated, it's off the paddle, because the very important thing about making cookies that the butter is incorporated very well in the sugar and there is no butter chunks. So when everything's incorporated very well and you look at it, there's really no butter chunks, everything's incorporated very well. Just, a helpful hint with doing the butter and sugar, it's very simple, but you just don't want to overmix it, incorporating a lot of air. With this cookie, you just want to make sure everything's incorporated and that's it. Adding air will make the cookie more spreadable and it doesn't bake as well as the normal cookie. So everything's incorporated. I am going to start adding my eggs and vanilla to my batter, but I'm going to slowly add in the eggs one at a time, so to make sure that everything is incorporated very well. Probably on low speed. We're just going to add 1 egg at a time. Maybe turn it up just a little bit. Give it a few seconds to incorporate. You might want to stop and scrape down the bowl. Just making sure the bottom is getting tossed into the batter. Turn it back on. We're going to add 1 more egg. Let that incorporate. Give it a few seconds. Everything's getting incorporated. I'm going to stop it again, scrape the bowl, making sure the bottom is getting hit. Maybe turn your paddle a little bit. And then I'm going to add the rest of my egg. Turn it back on. I'm going to add the last egg. Let that mix for a few minutes, a few seconds, just to incorporate. Once again, I might want to scrape the batter down, making sure that everything is getting off the bottom, off the paddle. Scraping everything off. Let that mix for a few minutes. Throw your flour. I already scaled out my salt and baking soda. We're going to turn this back on and then slowly add this in. With this process, when it's almost incorporated, then I'm going to add my chocolate chips. And what I do, I use just the Hershey chocolate chips, and then I do chunks. And overall, you could do whatever you would like. If you want mini chocolate chips in that too, that's great, instead of the chunks. or instead of both, just the minis. I mean, you could do almost anything. The positive thing about this recipe, which I have done multiple of things, is, and maybe instead of chocolate chips, you could add pecans and Heath pieces. I have done Oreos, crumble up Oreos with chocolate chips. I have done red velvet cookies, just adding a little bit of cocoa powder, some red dye, and then it's up to your choosing if you want to use white chocolate chips or dark chocolate chips. This batter you can do almost anything with. Change it up a little bit, but I would always, if you do, keep with the recipe amount and just figure out, well, maybe I want more nuts, less chocolate chips. You could do that. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and add my chocolate chips. Side. I'm going to turn this back on slowly because you know chocolate chips will like to fly out. You just want to mix until almost everything's incorporated. And if you look at the batter, everything's incorporated. There's no butter chunks. If you do have a little bit of flour, just try to mix it in. But everything's incorporated very well. I might give it one more turn. I'm just going to get another bowl and get a bowl scraper, or you can use a spatula. What I like to do when you do bigger batches is get everything off the paddle, making sure that, you know, get everything off. And you know, if you don't have a pair of gloves, this is where you get messy and just have fun. The reason why I do this is just in case if the bottom paddle didn't really touch the bottom, I just want to make sure that everything is getting mixed. Because when you do bigger batches like I do here, I always want to make sure I'm just, you know, making sure that everything's incorporated, because it's very important, because if it's not, then it's just not going to bake right. So you got your batter, it's all mixed, it looks very good. So scooping. For me, I use a red scoop for work. At home, you might not have a red scoop. You know, you might have an ice cream scoop or a smaller scoop. Or, you know, if you don't even have a scoop, you can use a spoon. Roughly, this batter will do close to 3 dozen cookies. Once again, if you are, you know, using a spoon, you can make it as big as you want or smaller that you want. It all depends on what you're looking for into a cookie. Once again, you know, you're gonna have fun with your kids, and you know, it's gonna get messy. I mean, it's all good. And then, you know, you just want to space them out, you know, just a few inches between each other, you know, and do like so. The very awesome about this recipe, you could scoop everything, refrigerate, and then put them in a baggie, and you can freeze them, and they can hold up to close to 3 months, and then just pull them out of the freezer when you are like, I really need a cookie. You know, just pull them out, let it thaw for maybe 15-20 minutes, and then throw it in the oven. I do bake my cookies at 325 with the larger ones, you know, between 10 and 12 minutes. Now, if your cookies are much smaller, which my experience is it's probably only going to bake 5 to 8 minutes. Once again, it all depends on your oven and what you're looking for into your cookie. If you really want a nice, soft, gooey cookie, bake it a little less. If you really want, you know, a hard brown cookie, then maybe cook it a little bit more than what I am suggesting. But so we're going to go ahead and take some cookies up to the oven and bake them off and show you how they bake off. So once again, I took this up to the oven, gave it about 10 to 12 minutes, and then I pulled them out, and then there you go. Some awesome, golden, delicious chocolate chip cookies. So that's what I'm looking for. But once again, you can bake it a little longer if you want a harder cookie, or a little bit less for a softer cookie. But once again, I hope this video was very helpful, just to show you what I do here at Northridge, and hopefully you enjoy making your own cookies.